AI isn't coming. It's already here. I mean, it's writing songs, it's cloning voices, it's finishing mixes, and it's even performing as artists, right? It's just, there's so much going on. It begs the question, if music is the language of the soul, should we be letting something that is soulless speak for us? Is it going to capture that humanity that we're looking for when it comes to connection? I don't know. Certainly up for debate, and we're going to chat all about this in today's edition of Vigorously. Welcome, Vigorous Ones. I'm Val Kleinhans with Vigorously, the podcast. Every Monday and Wednesday, we have a brand new episode. Mondays, we tend to focus more on music-related items. You can get this anywhere you listen to podcasts, really. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff, whatever it is you prefer. I wanted to chat about this because the inclusion of AI in music is officially inevitable. And you cannot escape it. We have seen AI artists. We have seen full AI bands. Some artists are even using AI backing vocals and just using it for other production help. It's a hot topic in music right now. So let's break it down. And we'll chat about a few points of business first before we get to that. But I'll do that, and then I will offer my opinion on what's going on, and you and I can just kiki a little bit about what we think about the sudden. To me, it seems sudden. I don't know about you, but to me, it seems like we got a lot of AI coming at us at once, and I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. But I'm a hold my horses. Let's get to a few points of business first. I knew it. Okay, so a few episodes ago, I did an episode about just general predictions for music this coming year in 2026, right? So now we are in 2026. And here's what I've gotten correct so far. I've already gotten 2 things correct so far. And, I guess they were so far-fetched or outlandish. It wasn't impossible to suggest these things and have it be a high likelihood of it actually happening. But here's what got exciting. Harry Styles, okay, in the 2026 predictions for a music episode that I did say that Harry Styles would release new music this year because I was sure, at the very least, he was pretty damn close to it, and he is. I saw some pictures, okay, of him leaving and entering a studio, coming and going in London, and that was what suggested to me that at the very least, he could be putting the finishing touches on something. Well, now we know what that something is. Harry is releasing Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally on March 6th, the next album. And as a bonus, if you loved Harry's sound before, he's working with a longtime collaborator on this again as well. Executive produced by Kid Harpoon. Banger of an album on the way. March 6th. You can put that on the calendar. I saw it coming, y'all. And I am just looking forward to seeing what Harry does. Here's the other thing. I knew, and again, this wasn't one that was really all that exciting to predict. I mean, the signs are obvious, especially if you pay attention to how the industry follows particular patterns. But Hilary Duff, I did predict, we knew about the album. Okay, we knew about the album that is coming next month. But what my prediction was that we would get at least one more single before it actually comes out. Because at that point, we only had one. We only had Mature. So I told y'all, and I was right, this past Friday, we got a brand new single before the album release. It is called Roommates, and it is extremely relatable in true Hilary Duff millennial fashion. It's relatable not just to her audience, but to anybody that has felt stuck, stagnant in their relationship. Things don't feel new anymore, and you're kind of bummed about it. And you're like, I wish we had that portion of the relationship back. And anybody that's been involved long term goes through this. It's inevitable. So this was kind of refreshing to hear that somebody else, at least somebody on her level, goes through the same thing, or at least has felt at one point the same way. I'm imagining so. I mean, you can't write something without having some sort of connection to it. So I would imagine maybe a part of that might be autobiographical, relatable. We love what Hillary does. Hillary doesn't miss, okay? Especially for her audience. She knows her audience. Most of her audience has been, at this point, most people have been in long-term relationships at this point, and all of us know what it feels like to have that stagnant period in it and to just yearn for the days when things were new, right? We've all been there. So good on her. Good on that trajectory. I think she's making the right moves. All of this, of course, is lead up to Luck or Something on February 20th, and we cannot wait. Now let's get to the actual meat of this episode here today. What is AI actually doing in music now? And I mean, really, it's here, but should we let it stay? We're going to try to answer that today. And let's take it back. Let's rewind a little bit just to clarify what actually AI is doing in music right now, in case you didn't know. In case you're not paying attention, let me break it down. AI is involved in every stage of music creation at this point. Songwriting, we've got lyric generators, we've got melody builders, we've got chord progressions, voice cloning. Okay? Voice cloning, which is, to me, where I draw a hard line. Dead artists, living artists, fake features, that type of thing. Come on now. We're seeing that. Production, the mastering, the beat making, the vocal tuning, the stem separation. If AI was going to do anything, I would have anticipated that it would be that. And to me, I think that's the most appropriate use for it. If it's going to exist, I think that's where it fits. We'll get into all this a little bit more later, but we're seeing it in marketing too. I mean, my God, AI generated album art and promo copy and just the actual creation of AI artists. That's a thing. That's a thing now. Like, it's not science fiction. It is happening now. And I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. I think artists are. I think fans are. The identity crisis is top of mind. I mean, it just makes you ask, what makes art human? Because that's the challenge, right? That's the challenge. The challenge against AI is that we're being robbed of biometrics. And is there a chance that we've lessened the importance of humanity in the creation of all this? Very valid argument. We're wondering, what exactly is it that makes art human, though? Let's try to put this in perspective. I think there's so much chatter about the loss of humanity in the use of AI, and rightfully so. You are literally removing human hand-created items from the process. So what else do you call it? We're concerned about the loss of human touch when it comes to the art that we're making. It begs the question, is music still music if no one felt it while making it? What is it then? Music, because music is emotional labor. I'm not even a musician, and I can tell you that. I can tell you how it feels as a fan. But I mean, memories are involved, trauma is involved, joy is involved, timing is involved. AI has no childhood. They have no relationship drama. They have no body to experience happiness or pain. The very core tenets of what makes good music, or music at all. Good might be subjective, but the very core of what we use to create music is those very human experiences. And if we're sourcing it from something that isn't human, what are we doing? I mean, can something without pain write pain convincingly? I don't know. Does technical perfection erase emotional imperfection? And is that the point? Is that what we want? Maybe to some degree. Ethically, we'll get into this now. Of course, there's additional challenges and questions. To me, voice is biometric identity. I'll just explain it this way. You might not be able to describe my voice. Like you might not actually be able to use descriptors. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But you know that it is distinct and unique to me when, or not just me, but anybody. You've got that friend or something, a family member, loved one. Whenever you make the comment, I know that voice, you're referring to that energy. You're referring to that person's identity is what I'm getting at. And even though you might not be able to put a finger on what exactly it is that makes it unique, you know it's associated with that human. At least that's how I would explain it. A great example. If I take Peter Steele of Typo Negative and Phil Anselmo of Pantera, and I say, I know that voice. Well, I do, and I have said that before in reference to both of them. But what do I really mean? Like, if somebody said, well, what does that mean? I might be able to describe them as a baritone, and that might paint a picture for you. But there's certain things, or, one has a little bit more of a Southern vibe and one has more of a Brooklyn accent. Like, I might be able to use those types of things, but that's kind of as far as I can go with it. You just have to know it. You have to experience it. And that's also what builds connection at the same time. If that breaks it down for you in a little bit more of a personal way, at least it does to me. Questions do lie in the posthumous use of AI, like using anything after someone's dead. Deepfake features, things like that, consent, compensation, creative legacy, all just are called into question. And the line between homage and exploitation is regularly blurred. It can regularly be blurred, and it has been before. There's questions about this, valid concerns about this. It impacts the industry as a whole, regardless of what your role within it is. My musician friends and artists that, I'm personal fans of and chat with on the side, I know that they're worried about the presence of AI in music, and rightfully so. When art becomes automation, do artists become optional? Do we want that? Session musicians can be replaced. Background music industries that supply product to films or ads or games are shifting to AI libraries. Human musicians and producers are competing with machines. And there's only so much that you can do to prove yourself if that's the arena that you're given. It's very much a struggle, which makes me believe, and I'll get into kind of where I fall on this now. I am under the opinion that the responsibility of a lot of this, it should fall on the industry. The industry should be checking itself in what we use AI for, how often we use it, what the impact of using it really is. I mean, the industry itself should be doing that before it makes these decisions. I can't confirm or deny that it is, but with how quickly it's been impressed upon us, it sure doesn't make me confident that they spent a lot of time really analyzing what the impact of the use of AI really is. So if we can't trust, if we can't trust the industry itself to check itself, perhaps some of the responsibility falls on the fans. As fans, consumers, listeners, whatever it is that you want to call yourself, whatever it is that the bigwigs call us, we have to be aware of our responsibility in this equation. And here's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about streaming numbers, right? They tell the industry what we accept. So the industry will either feed or not feed whatever it is that's successful. They treat it very much like a machine. They treat it very much like a business. If you don't realize that, I don't know how to express that any other way. It is what it is. It's like anything else in life. It's like Burger King. You're on the assembly line. This is what you're getting. If you want to switch it up, you got to make a ruckus first. You got to tell them, we want those crinkle fries, or or whatever it is. Like, just, you got to let them know. And that's how you let them know. It's the equivalent of a vote, we'll say. Here's something else. If AI tracks charts and creates music using the knowledge of what charts are telling it is popular, stagnation and diluted result could become normalized. And I don't know how I feel about that one. It just furthers the machine. It feeds the machine. It perpetuates the machine. And it's doing it with stuff that ain't all that great. So we got to call that into question. It's convenience versus connection. Do we want background noise or do we want storytelling? Well, I know which one I want. Which one do you want? Are we still moved by what we're hearing, or are we just stimulated? I think a lot of people, when they're making decisions in their life, they tend to choose whatever it is that stimulates them in the moment. There is a big element of impulse to the whole thing. That, to me, should be checked. At the very least, we got to be aware of the outcomes of the decisions that we're making. If we're consuming AI, it is the equivalent of a vote for it. Think about that. Consider that. If we're using it and we're using it in a particular way, we're perpetuating a machine, because those that are in charge, we'll say, the ones that are, putting the product out there, making the financial decisions on what they'll support or not support, literally and figuratively, we got to let them know that there needs to be some checks and balances here. I'm a fan of what I will call middle ground in this whole debate, in this whole discussion. I look at it this way. AI, to me, is and can be a tool, not an author. I'm not completely opposed to the use of AI in any and every way. No. Let me explain more clearly. I don't think AI is going anywhere. So I think we are going to have to live with it and adjust how we do so. AI as an assistant, I think, is a great idea. And it's also very different from AI as the actual artist. I'm comfortable with using AI as a tool, but I am certainly not comfortable, don't get it twisted, with just using it as a total replacement for human touch. I think and believe and would champion that the original idea has got to start with you. It has to originate with you. I think biometrics should be left the hell alone. It's almost disrespectful to me to just put out an entire carbon copy of something else that already existed. Let them have their own existence and let it be what it was. I don't like the idea of anything biological, including a voice, being created by AI. But to use AI as a publishing tool, a polishing tool, if you will, fine. You're mainly doing what a producer does at a basic level, at that point anyway. And you've got, but you also have to know that it's never going to replace a producer's ear either. There's going to be signature decisions, signature style aesthetics and applications that are going to link you to that producer. And rightfully so. They deserve to get their flowers. They deserve to get what's theirs if they are a creative and they are putting out something that is unique to them. They should have the right to say, this is mine, is how I feel about it. You have to know that even if you're using AI as a polishing tool, it's never going to replace a producer's ear. And I don't believe that it should. I think it's not going to be, and it shouldn't reflect that producer's style of production. I wouldn't want it to. It would be kind of like, I guess, proofreading for grammar or spelling or all the above. Like if we used AI in that manner, and to be honest with you, sometimes I do, especially when I'm writing descriptions for this podcast. I'm fine with it as a checks and balances. I'm fine with it as like a proofreading type of thing, or whatever the music industry version of that would be. I'm fine with that. I don't see it as a total replacement. I think transparency would also be very, very helpful in this conversation. That's something that I don't know that's been talked about a lot either. I would suggest that AI-made music be labeled. And it should be known that what they're listening to is artificially, intelligently created stuff. At that point, the listener is fully aware of what they're consuming, and they are now responsible for the outcomes and potential consequences of that choice, which is why I think that's at least the fairest, or a fair way to live with AI and work with AI. It sounds yucky coming out of my mouth like that, but I just, I'm of the opinion that I'm not going to see it go anywhere. I think a lot of us feel that way. It's here. We're seeing it now. We're seeing AI now as part of our daily lives. And again, so long as it is, and the powers that be say, this is what we're doing now, well, if we don't try and take a little bit of that power back in the ways that we can, then we have to adapt and live with it. And I think that's a way how. Is there a version of the future where AI supports creativity without erasing it? If we reach that middle ground that I just discussed previously and look at AI as a tool, maybe. All of us, and I mean musician, producer, or not, I mean simply just have to be aware of the consequences to the use of AI. The environmental ones, come on, the amount of water that is used to run the servers that help it function. We're already environmentally strapped. And this is what we want to use it for? We want to use that resource for that? For like imposing yourself in Hawkins, Indiana for like a Stranger Things photo that was created by AI or whatever. Like, again, this is what we want to do. No. Think about the consequences, the environmental ones, the economic ones, and the emotional ones. The emotional ones, it can be hurtful when I think we're too extreme one direction or another. Ask yourself what you want your music to be. What do we want music to be? Do we want to corporate it up, which arguably has already occurred? And to me, that would look like leaving things up to, or leaving decisions anyway, up to the heads at Spotify or labels or whatever. I mean, it arguably that has already occurred, but do we want it to get worse? Like, at what point do we start speaking up here, is what I'm saying. Don't we want music to be our community? I do. I have. That's a big part of why I got into it. Don't we want music to be a memory? Do we want music to be a memory? For a lot of us, it is. Do we want it to be rebellious and free expression? I sure do. And I would hate to see any type of disillusion of that spirit. We have to think about what we want music to be and what we want music to look or sound like. What do we want from it? And take the control that we can in this equation. That's as much as I can say on the subject without getting even deeper into it, but I think I made my point. So what's your take? I feel like we can find a middle ground with all of this, but we do need to understand that there's a heavy sense of responsibility within our consumption choices here. Got to pay attention to some of the consequences that come with that. But that's my take. What is yours? Comment, let me know. We'll have a discussion. We'll have a little chat. Thank you so much for joining me for another week. We got another episode on the way on Wednesday. Bye.